welcome to URBONUS podcast. I'm the host Donatas Urbonas, Rytis Vyšniauskas, Augustas Šuliauskas. They are here as always. How do you feel, guys, about watching Los Angeles Lakers celebrating Darvin Ham, his first head coaching victory with the Lakers? And if Kobe Bryant was in this room and saw that video, what would be his thoughts and reactions after it?
A bit cringe. That's how I felt. I mean,
to say at least.
You start the season 05. You're the last team without a win in the whole league. And you're the LA Lakers with LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, even though he's not the Russell Westbrook we imagine. And you win one game in the regular season against a solid Denver Nuggets team. I know you're celebrating like the first win of your head coach, but it's a bit cringe to see the ice shower and LeBron hugging with Darvin Ham as if this was a postseason win, like they closed the series or something. So, yeah, it felt cringy, but probably the Lakers need some positivity. They need people to talk about things like that other than Russell Westbrook's true shooting percentage and how the team is choking on the 3-point line. So, actually, this night they delivered like 13 from 30. That's probably the best you can get from the
3-point line.
Yeah, from the 3-point line. So you cannot expect anything more than that. And they're not really bad defensively, actually. I have to admit it. They have some potential. But the way this team is built doesn't make any sense basketball-wise.
At all. But as you said, Rytis, I like that now, I mean, at least on the social media, the discourse after this win is this video and not, Russell Westbrook making terrible decisions, or I don't know, Anthony Davis, falling down and grabbing his back. So, I mean, it reminds me of the situation when JaVale McGee and Nick Young, in a post-game interview, they were doing, we back. After, I don't know, that season, Lakers won, I think, 20 games, close to that. And then Kobe was reminded about this interview in Jimmy Kimmel's show, and he didn't even react with words. He all he did was like, and that's it. And that was his whole reaction. So, I mean, I understand that because it's the first win of the head coach. So, and it's becoming, every team does that. So, and in the NBA, nobody's, at least inside of the team, nobody's trying to overreact after losing the first games. That's the difference,
And since it's the LA Lakers, everything you do goes viral. I mean, everything you do.
Just looking at the numbers that these Twitter people have that are following the Lakers, covering the Lakers, every little detail gets so much attention, and just every little thing that in Europe we are not even, maybe talking about this.
Who's closest to Lakers in Europe? What do you think?
Basketball?
As a team?
No one.
I mean, by European standards.
By European standards?
Yeah, of course, by European standards, by all the hype, pressure, attention.
That's not
Probably
delivering, or you mean on
just in general, but by the size of the club and all these reactions, whether the team is winning or losing, and especially when they're losing?
It's hard to tell because in Europe, you're not global. Like, you're inside your own bubble. For example, Žalgiris is a very big thing in Lithuania, right? Because Lithuania is a basketball country. We don't have any football culture. So Žalgiris is a big deal for us, but for Europe, well, they know the name, but it's not something special. They think that Žalgiris is just an average EuroLeague team. So I don't really see a club that would be very popular throughout the whole Europe, not in their own region. Like, of course, Basque people support Baskonia, like Madrid people support Real, like Catalan support Barcelona or Juventud, and the same way goes to Germany. Like, there's Bavarians and Berlin people. So
we don't follow the players as much as they do maybe in the NBA. You know, if there's a huge player going over to the next city, you might as well be a fan of that team. Especially if you're from Europe. And here you're just connected to your own city, basically in the EuroLeague. So.
Yeah, we're not as attached to personalities in Europe as people in America are, because you can be a fan of an athlete, not necessarily a team, and you just follow the athlete wherever he goes. And in Europe, very few people do that. I have some players that I admire, and I am always interested in the teams they are performing for. But that's just me. Most people, they stick to their teams through the good times and the bad times. Doesn't matter the roster. They are always cheering for their own team. It's like the support your local club culture, I would say.
Yeah.
It's actually sad that, for example, Mike James, he's one of the, let's say, current historical players in the EuroLeague. He made an impact wherever he played. He always having this noise around him. He's playing at elite level for all those years. And he has only 42,000 Twitter followers, although his Twitter activity is something special. I cannot see. I mean, he is like Draymond Green of the NBA without the podcast, probably, something like that. And it's crazy to see that he has only 42,000 followers. Yeah, it's tough. It tells a lot about how big EuroLeague personalities are here in Europe.
I mean, some college kids have more.
Yeah, it's coming from NCAA, right?
Yeah,
environment.
Followers and on social media especially. They are some guys that are the biggest talents have more followers in high school already.
Well, Victor Wembanyama didn't even step a foot on an NBA court yet, and he is more popular than the whole EuroLeague. So that says it all.
And his games are now shown on the NBA League Pass.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if the whole French league or just the Metropolitan.
Just the Metropolitan games,
right? So if you have the League Pass, you have the opportunity to witness this teenager dominating the French league. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, yeah, Wemby has like 76,000 followers. I think he added like around 50,000 since he showed up in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's normal. Like, I think EuroLeague basketball provides very good quality, and it's basically for basketball geeks who are so deep into basketball and love watching great tactical battles. And that's the problem we're discussing constantly, how to make this product more accepted by the bigger mass of people. Like not only these basketball geeks who remember what happened in the Final Four in 2004 or 2005, but also those people who occasionally watch basketball, and usually it is some random NBA game or NBA highlights, and they just follow LeBron James and Kevin Durant. How do you reach these people and prove them that EuroLeague is a very good basketball material? Yeah. If we do that, then we could talk about some of those clubs being followed by more people.
Profitable.
Yeah. Because the EuroLeague as such is not followed by too many people on social media.
Oh, no. Yeah, EuroLeague has a lot to sell, let's say, and we will talk about the biggest highlights of the previous week. By the way, we will have a short NBA topic at the end of the podcast about Luka Doncic, but of course, we will discuss Fenerbahce being a single undefeated team in the EuroLeague so far, and the big derby against Efes, and also another impressive game, one of the most or even most anticipated game of the season, Olympiacos, Monaco, and some other things. So let's start with the winners. Fenerbahce remains a single undefeated EuroLeague team after round 5. They have the first 5-0 start since 2013-14 season when Zeljko Obradovic started his era in Istanbul. Their first by defensive rating in the EuroLeague, according to Bibolytics, third by offensive rating, second in three-point shooting percentage, fourth in true shooting percentage, and third in assists. So, question to you, gentlemen, what do you think this 5-0 start for Fenerbahce? Is it nothing? Is it something? Or is it everything?
I mean, I would say it is something. You know, I'm obviously not going to go there all in and say this is everything and they're the main title contenders or something, but 5-0 is impressive, and knowing that they changed a lot of, you know, team members and the coach. But to start the season, to me, Dimitris Itoudis' hand is very clear, and the way they play, the way they defend, they have the best net rating, they have the best defense, and by far the best net rating of all teams. One thing that stands out from the statistical point of view and just, you know, the eye test watching the games is how they are not allowing the 3-point shots. They're basically forcing, there is not that much help going on defensively. You know, when there is a pick and roll, they leave it for 2 men to defend and basically not forcing the kickouts and easy shots. They allow the most or the second most 2-pointers, which is like, okay, you are scoring 2 points at the most. And this is why they have such a tremendous defense. Obviously, they have the personnel to do it. They have the people to guard the post. They can switch, as we saw with Devin Booker doing an extremely good job against Anadolu Efes. So to me, their defense is there to stay. The one question that's, I want to see answered next, let's say, is how their offense is against really, really good defensive teams. Because, Anadolu is not somewhat a great defensive team, and already this week they will have a test against Barcelona, and away game, so that will be interesting to see how they deal with this. But they have a lot of weapons offensively, so it is for me it is something, and I just want to see more how they go when the season goes along.
We're still actually waiting for Carson Edwards to start playing at his own level. Like, so far we just saw a glimpse of what Carson Edwards could be in the EuroLeague, but you can say that Scotty, Wilbekin, Nikolaidis, and especially in the Istanbul derby, it was Guduric, people who carry this team. If we talk about the perimeter players, and Carson Edwards, I think that throughout the season he will have a breakthrough.
Carson Edwards had, like, during the Istanbul derby, he stayed on the bench for 18 minutes straight. Yeah. He came in the end of the second quarter, and it just shows how professional he is and how great of a scorer he is. So he sat, I don't know, what's it like real time? 40 minutes of sitting time on the bench, at almost 2 quarters. So that's like 40 minutes on the bench. He stepped up, he made his first spot up three, and then in the third quarter, he scored 7 or 8 points in a row when Anadolu were trying to come back into the game, and just pure scorer. And he's still, you can see him a little bit, not lost on defense, but, just still adjusting. But his offensive potential is insane.
Which usually happens with newcomers to the EuroLeague.
Exactly.
When you come from the NBA, it takes some time to realize how different the defensive rotations are in EuroLeague. And the things that you do in the NBA, in Europe, you have to do them like by a second quicker. If you're going to help somebody on defense, you need to be there one step ahead than you would be in the NBA court.
And there's no possessions that you can take off,
Yeah, every possession is very important, and you always have to be serious, and you always have to pay attention to every single detail. So these are the things he's going to learn, but I believe he has the talent and all the necessary abilities to be a successful EuroLeague player. Actually, the interesting thing is that the team which was closest to beating Fenerbahce was Valencia. And you cannot say that Valencia is very spectacular or very consistent so far, even though they beat Anadolu Efes and they had a solid win against Alba last week. But they had a legit opportunity. They had a shot at winning against Fenerbahce, and the game was played in Istanbul. But they were the closest. And nobody so far scored 80 points on Fenerbahce. So this is a winning formula. If you don't allow 80 points, you will always be capable of winning the game with players like Kalaitis, Wilbekin, Guduric, and all the others.
They're so good at slowing the game down. Like, they play slow and offensively by themselves, so automatically you allow less possessions to the other teams. But also they just do such a good job. There's they score or they don't score. There's immediately a person next to the point guard, not allowing to run the break. They're always denying. They're always, fronting. So it's really hard to get into the offense. And then they have players who can switch, John Motley, Devin Booker. So they should be a really good defensive team throughout the whole season.
And the best thing is that if we are looking for some potential, we're sure that they're gonna click even better, both offensively and defensively, with some time. Let's not forget that they're together just for like a little bit more than a month. But the best thing is that Nemanja Bjelica, former EuroLeague MVP, is coming back into the lineup after the
Still
few
hasn't
weeks.
played.
that's the problem he has. He has this calf injury, and he had a setback, and it was announced by the club that he's coming back in like 3 or 4 weeks. The worst part is that I'm hearing that it might be even longer, so they might wait for him for a while, and if that's the case, he might miss some significant time without basketball. But
wait, this is the injury that caused him to miss the European Championship.
I think so. Yeah, that might be it. That might be it. So that's a huge blow. But the best thing is that they're still carrying out the current situation really well. By the way, regarding Carson Edwards, there was this great shot during the game when Edwards didn't show up on the court, and he was like just this watching the game. Of course. Vasiliki Karamuza and Martina Motom as well, our colleague, noticed that he has colored his nails actually
in the colors of Fenerbahce. Seems to me.
I don't really understand. You can see the picture here. I'm not so sure of these Fenerbahce colors, but this is a nice shot. Anyway, don't you think that he's kind of type of Bobby Dixon player who just plays some stretches, to spark the team?
Bobby Dixon is Ali Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget that he's Bobby Dixon. I'm not so sure yet. He needs more time, obviously. I think he has the potential to be a bigger player than Ali Muhammad.
Yeah.
Although Ali Muhammad stepped into EuroLeague when he was a veteran already, playing in the EuroCup before. And in EuroCup, he was dominating as a scorer. And playing for Zeljko Obradovic in the championship winning team, he was more of a energy boost type of player. I believe that Carson Edwards, moving forward, can be one of the elite scorers in the EuroLeague. Not necessarily for Fenerbahce, we'll see how it goes, but you might see him on some other team in the future. I just think he has a very strong skill set.
Talking about elite scorers and Fenerbahce, Scotty Wilbekin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has to be mentioned for the first 5 games that he has played. I mean, the way he saves possessions for them, and just watching this derby against Anadolu, there were Marko Guduric who hit some fantastic shots, but at Fenerbahce, a lot of possessions were kind of stuck, and then it's like the ball arrives to Wilbekin and just dance on them, make your job. So quick with the first step and just the finishes, the jump stops with two feet inside the paint, some crazy 3-pointers, and he is in the top shape already at the start of the season.
Yeah, he's steadily improving his game. If you watch the stats, every game he was increasing his points. He's very efficient attacking the ball, and that's what I said before the season when I kind of try to brainstorm that he might be Alfonso Ford winner, because Itudis puts him in, let's say, good spots to score. Also, he has better help around him and he had in Maccabi, and what we see from Marko Guduric, it's kind of obvious. Then we will have another playmaker on the court, Nemanja Bjelica, with some time. And of course, I mean, you cannot give credit to somebody else when Scott is making all these incredibly difficult shots that took Fenerbahce to a victory. But together, talking about Wilbekin, I also wanted to mention Marko Guduric. I'm not sure. I saw 2 of Fenerbahce games so far, and these games were against Maccabi and this one against Efes. In both games, Marko Guduric was just amazing. And there were questions if he can be that, let's say, secondary, third ball handler next to Scotty Wilbekin and Nicolaitis, because, he has his own ego. He thinks that he's really good and he can be that alpha guy on his team. So this was a big question mark coming to this season. But so far, I mean, watching him play, I don't remember that he was so confident, for example, last season, how confident he takes those shots, how confident he makes them. His shooting percentages are very solid. So far, he's making 57% 2-point shots, 48% 3-point shots on 13 points per game. He's making tough shots. In most cases, he's making good reads, good decisions, and there's kind of this leadership around him, this big confidence, and it kind of reminds me Edgar Sulanova's situation when, Paulius Jankunas got retired, some other veterans like Milaknis left the team. He's that guy which kind of connects the new era of the team and the previous era. So this is the same with Marko Guduric. He was with all these Fenerbahce legends in the last decade, and now he's one of the last guys on the roster. And he kind of embraced that responsibility and embraced that situation. And his confidence and leadership in the current situation is really important for Fenerbahce moving forward.
I just think there's a common problem right now, which is related to Guduric also, that these players who go to the NBA and just sit on a bench for the whole year, and when they come back, they don't get their playing habits back so quickly. Usually the first season after coming back from the bench, being a bench player in the NBA is a tough one. We saw that with Nicolo Melli a little bit last season. This season, he's much better. We're seeing this with Kevin Pangos. And we saw it with Marko Guduric. When he left the Memphis Grizzlies, he needed more time. Last season was kind of difficult for him. Actually, the Eurobasket was terrible. He was just shooting bricks. But now he's getting his confidence back. So probably that says something, that if you spend a whole year sitting on a bench in the NBA, you get a little bit rusty. And there's no like magical switch, like you click the button and you're the same player you were 2 years ago when you were dominating the EuroLeague. It takes time. It's a process. So Guduric went through all of that, and now he's again playing his best basketball probably. As you said about Wilbekin being a potential Alfonso Ford winner, I still stick to the idea that number 55 from Monaco is a clear favorite for that one. However, I have to give credit to Wilbekin for being very consistent. I think his problem in Maccabi was inconsistency. Like, you could see him scoring 25 points one day, and after 2 days he's cold and missing a lot of shots. Right now, playing for Coach Itoudis, he's just playing very smart basketball, and his shot selection is, I would say, almost perfect. He's attacking when he needs to do that, and he's not like overplaying with the ball the way he sometimes did in Maccabi. Of course, he's playing next to guys like Kalaitis and Guduric. It also helps, obviously.
The last thing about him is if he watches this podcast, or someone from his surroundings, we have to say something about his defense, because that often gets overlooked because of how easily he's scoring the ball. But his energy and just being so close to the guards, I mean, he's not, he is the number one option on the team offensively in the last seconds, and he is not saving himself on defense at all to start the season. All the games I watched, he was all over the opposing guards, just constant attachment when they have the ball, going through screens, and we often overlook these high volume scorers with their defense, but to start the season, he's amazing. So
that's what I actually wanted to say about Mike James. I don't know if you would agree with me, but some defensive plays in the end of the game against Olympiacos were really, really crucial. He made 3 steals. And as he mentioned in the post-game interview, having all these ball handlers and scorers and, great scorers like Jordan Lloyd and Elio Kobo helps him to save some energy for the defensive end. And it seems like he's more focused, more dedicated to defensive situations, and it really helps for Monaco so far.
I would say that jumping into passing lanes and gambling for steals is not necessarily great defense. It worked for Mike against Olympiacos, and he got some easy layups from his own steals.
It's like 3 or 4 times he scored in that way throughout the whole game.
3 times, if I remember correctly. And some of those were important moments in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily see Mike James putting his heart out on defense, like pressuring the ball. Against Panathinaikos, he got in an early foul trouble, then he just doesn't do anything at all. So, like, jumping into passing lanes, in my opinion, is not great defense. One game you will get...
that's true, yeah.
One game you will get 3 steals, and the other game you will...
But those were not, let's say, gambling.
Yeah.
These were good reads.
I
give you that. These were good reads, yeah. But, I mean, talking about good defense, I don't see Mike James being somebody who wants to just pressure the ball handler or do
No,
stuff
he's not
like that.
Paris Lee, but at
That's
least I
not what
see more effort when it was last season.
maybe.
for
I
example.
would agree that this season
Maybe.
there's more effort.
And
More
you don't
effort.
need,
Okay.
huge difference from Mike James in defense. I mean, just this little step up helps the team and the team defense a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't have to play 38 minutes and carry the whole team like he did last
Yeah.
season, especially in the playoffs.
Now they have,
now you
John
have more
Brown,
help.
yeah,
You have
there's
much more help.
Alpha
and
Diallo, Donta Hall.
it is a lot easier.
There
for
were
you.
two situations also. I just remembered to start the fourth quarter. I think there were. You saw the game.
You mean Monaco?
Yeah, the Monaco game.
Yeah.
There were 2 offensive rebounds by Olympiacos in a row. Third or fourth quarter to start. I don't remember which one. But guess whose player took off 2 offensive rebounds? When Thomas Walkup grabbed the air ball. And then before was also the same situation.
So Mike lost.
Yeah, third quarter.
Mike lost his concentration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
happened.
+8 and 41-33 to start the third quarter. And then they got 4 easy points. But after, in the fourth quarter,
I mean,
can't
we
cover all
can
the court.
we can discuss Monaco Olympiacos in a bit more detail, I think, because it was a really great game of basketball. But
oh yeah.
I just wanted to get back to Scotty for a while because I thought of a hypothetical scenario. Since Ergin Ataman is the head coach of Turkey, could you see a scenario where Ergin Ataman is in a position to choose between Scotty Wilbekin and his own player, Shane Larkin, and he goes with Scotty because Larkin struggles?
I don't
And
see
how
that.
could
I don't
how
see
could that
happening.
affect their
I don't know.
relationship as a player and
If
coach?
Larkin is under
Maybe
contract, I don't see that
Larkin
happening.
would be even happier. He would have a summer off. So, he's getting older. He wouldn't need to go there for a month and a half. So I think that he would be even more okay when we can think about it, actually.
Because Scotty played for Turkey in the World Cup in 2019. But then they
And let's say
gave
he
the-
was more efficient. I think
Well, he was
having-
healthy. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Shane was obviously hurt and couldn't deliver in the EuroBasket. But they both have the Turkish passport, and but they can't play together for the national team. They need to pick only one of these 2 American guards.
Ataman can take Wilbekin, play him 40 minutes in the national team, and then just kill him. in the
destroy him,
season.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be a very Atamanish move to do, I would say.
Talking about Ataman, Efes started the season winning 2 games of 5. What do you don't like about them? Where they're struggling? Where they could improve even in the current situation with Larkin being out or with Bobois missing game or 2?
You mean not players wise? Adding
Just
Adding
in general.
players?
Just in
No, just
general?
in general. Not just by adding players.
They're not gonna play any different basketball.
That was
It's not like we were gonna say
trouble.
they will make some adjustments and tactical adjustments. No,
I would say like intensity level, but do you expect that?
Look,
from
this-
us?
this
Until
week-
March, no.
this
No, I
week
don't
they will
expect
be
anything.
running the same plays. They will be doing the same thing all the time. A lot of ISO basketball, and next week is gonna be the same, and the week after is also gonna be the same. And
And it's up
sometimes you
to-
win, sometimes you lose. That's their approach. We play our own way, and some games we win, some games we lose.
This is let's say you were asking about who are the closest to the Lakers. So the way Anadolu plays is the closest to how you play in the NBA regular season. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You rely on your best offensive players. You defend for 2 seconds, but if someone beats you, there is no one there to help. Rarely there to help. So
You just live with the consequences because you trust that in the long run you're gonna be where you want to be. And why would you question back-to-back champions? And the regular season, well, they treat the regular season, you could say, with a bit of a disrespect.
after
Because-
winning 2 titles.
Yeah, because for most teams, it's all about being in the top 4, having their home court advantage, going into playoffs. I don't think that Efes emphasizes that too much. And when they lose to Alba, they don't make a big deal of it. It's just like, we lost the game, carry on,
It's regular season.
on to the next one.
Yeah.
In the end, we're still going to be in the top 8. Whether we're 6th, 7th, or 4th, or 5th, you can win the EuroLeague from any seed as long as you have Will Clyburn, Vasamicic, and Shane Larkin eventually will be back.
Yes, it seems like Bobois should be back in the lineup quite soon, but there are problems with Shane Larkin. He might be out for a few more weeks. So since they won't change on the court, do you think even the upgrade is necessary? So far, from what I hear, they're in advanced talks with Isaiah Taylor. He might be front runner to join the team. Last year he played for Murcia. He's 28. He's 190 guard. He averaged 15 points per game on 43% of field goal shooting and 3.4 assists. Had a 31-point game against Gran Canaria last year, 25 against Barcelona in a tight game. Averaged 6.6 points and 3 assists for Atlanta Hawks 4 years ago. Do they really need this upgrade then? Or watching, that they look like short of men, and even though they kind of don't care about the regular season, I don't feel very good watching Vasa Micic playing so many minutes on the court.
Well, from the inside, they know much better what the Shane Larkin situation is. We can only speculate when he's coming back, and we know from the past couple of years that when Larkin gets back from injury, it takes more time for him to catch his rhythm than for some other players. So probably you're going to have to be patient with Shane, and it's easier to go through this by signing another player as a temporary replacement. And Isaiah Taylor is a scorer. I'm not sure if he could be a successful scorer in EuroLeague. He hasn't played there. He's another player that demands the ball in his hands, because when he's playing for Murcia, he's the leader. But if there's an opportunity to add somebody, why not? It makes it easier. If you have the money to do that and you can add a quality player, let's say, I would go for it.
Right now it's just Micic and Clyburn taking turns and shooting, and just Fener were switching, not all the game, but a lot of time, and it was just one-on-one basketball. There were no, let's try to go inside. It was just or Clyburn or Micic going one-on-one, and then trying to solve the problem. So
yeah.
For 40 minutes playing that like this, and then when you don't have Bobois as well, an additional player would help. So
because now you see Bograhan Tuncer getting some minutes, and what happened in the 8th final of the Eurobasket will never happen again. I'm sorry,
that was crazy.
No disrespect to Tuncer, he's probably a good guy, but no way in hell he's going to be scoring the way he did in that game against France.
That was an amazing performance by him.
Well, I'm surprised that both Clyburn and Micic, they actually lead the EuroLeague by minutes played. Clyburn averaging almost 36.5 minutes per game, Micic a little bit over 35. That's a huge load for your backcourt stars. So even looking long term, maybe Isaiah Taylor would add some scoring options, but the best ability he can offer, I think, that just resting Micic, for example, in the Turkish league or just in some games, that could be ideal scenario to have him playing more off ball, but I don't see that happening when Vasilij Micic is on the court. I mean, even though he would feel tired, as it happened in the game against Monaco, where he played kind of after he got injured, he still wanted the ball in his hands. So I'm not sure how it would work out, but looking long term and having those Turkish league games in mind, maybe that's the whole point behind this potential signing.
Actually, the track record shows that Efes adding new players during the season never really works out. Like Jalan Musa,
for the players especially.
Elijah Bryant, when he joined the team, he really struggled. Then the next season, he sort of found his spot.
And he actually blossomed again in the Final Four. He played in a crucial role, yeah. But
again,
for the most part of the season, he was, let's say,
and again,
miserable.
he's a different type of player because he gives you defense. In this team, you don't require him to score 12 or 14 points per game. He has some different duties. But for a scorer to step into this team, and like you're playing in Murcia right now, all of a sudden you need to adjust to playing with EuroLeague's MVP and probably the best small forward in the league. And they both want the ball and play a lot of ISO. So
it's not easy to find your spot.
It's hard.
There.
You're going to get used to waiting for your shots. Like when you're playing for Murcia, you can basically shoot whenever you want because you have the freedom to do it.
He probably touches the ball every possession.
And here in Efes, sometimes you will live through like 3 or 4 minute stretches without shooting the ball. So it's difficult. I think it is difficult, but it's an opportunity for a guy like Isaiah Taylor. It's a big step forward in his career to try yourself in the EuroLeague, and obviously Efes could offer him a bigger contract than Murcia. So if I'm Isaiah Taylor, I'm taking it
for sure.
That's no question.
Olympiacos, Monaco. What do you think? Monaco handed them their first loss of the season in the EuroLeague. What do you think? Let's say who stopped Olympiacos?
If I can say the first word, Olympiacos missed a lot of spot-up shots. Another day, shots going in could be a different ball game. And Olympiacos really made a huge effort to try and get back into the game and take the lead. And I think that crazy off the backboard three-pointer by Alpha Diallo sort of killed it. You felt like you're close, you're trying to grab this game. It's not your best night shooting the ball, but you're getting closer. And mentally, shots like that just kill you. And from that point, I thought like it's over. Monaco is going to get this victory. Obviously, Monaco did a lot of good things.
If there's one team that can stop Olympiacos' offense and disrupt it, is the Monaco athleticism and physicality. I mean, did you see the way Alpha Diallo was just all over the court against Kostas Loukas?
Yeah.
Just not letting him receive the ball easily, making him tired, a little bit. Just disrupting the flow that Olympiacos is used to before getting into the main action, And that was a little bit, I wrote the same thing, they missed a lot of shots, but Monaco also played good defense, good enough defense to disrupt their offense.
They dealt with Mustafa Fall, for example, because Fall was doing a lot of damage to Sasha Obradovic's team in the playoffs last season.
They were going every time, Fall against Moti Yunus. We give the ball in the post. We saw only, I think, one occasion where he scored against Demo.
And obviously, when you're playing a great team like Olympiacos away, you need a good start. And I think it really helped that in the first possessions when they struggled, Mike James made those corner threes. It was like a life-saving shots for Monaco to start the game, to get like all the pressure off your shoulders. And
it's such a huge thing when you allow great scorers to feel good from the first minutes. It's it's going to be a long night when you see Mike James hitting a relatively easy 3-point shot.
For him, it's easy.
For him, yeah. They lost him. I thought Olympiacos lost quite a few times. Monaco, we've just... they're playing the pick and roll, and on the weak side, Monaco is just switching positions. Olympiacos is, okay, you take this, and then they're like collapsing and kicking it out for an open shot. So that was kind of, not something that we saw from Olympiacos a lot in the first rounds.
But so far they haven't been that great on defense. No. That's the thing. Like they're winning because of talent, because of
offense. Yeah,
Vezenkov being the MVP so far, probably the MVP of October. But they're allowing more than 80 points in every game.
Yeah.
So that's an area to improve. They have the same personnel, more or less. So there's no reason why they cannot be a great defensive team again. And they should improve during the season. But also it has to be said that Eli Okobo had a huge game. Like
fantastic.
Okobo and Mike James combined for more than 50% of the points for Monaco. And Eli Okobo is a young player. It's his second season in the EuroLeague. Now he's playing for a playoff contender. It was a different story when you played for Asvel. And Olympiacos away is one of the biggest games you can get. And he just delivered. Like,
If Mike James started the game and sparked the team in the beginning, I think that Eli Okobo just closed the game. He scored 11 points. He made some tough shots, including that step-back three-pointer in the end of the game. And not only... there's this interesting history between Okobo and Mike James, because when actually Monaco reached an agreement with Eli Okobo, and I remember that I broke the news about it before the French League final series started. I remember that Asvel was still dealing the semi-final series. From what I heard, Mike James was very unhappy about that move, and was kind of direct about it. And, there was this big question, how they're going to find the chemistry, not just between Okobo and Mike James, but also there was Jordan Lloyd in the mix. So there was this big question before entering the preseason training camp in Monaco. But the thing that kind of worked out well was that, first of all, Okobo joined the team only after the Eurobasket. So at first, Mike James and Jordan Lloyd clicked together. And, Jordan Lloyd is not just another scorer. He's a very smart player, more, let's say, all-around player. And he's coming with some, great history of winning the NBA championship. He's been through interesting situations. He was coached by great coaches. So those guys both clicked together greatly, and it was easier to add another big scorer, high volume player like Eli Okobo to the team and to the group. And the biggest difference is that, for example, Jordan Lloyd is not playing at his level so far. First of all, it was impacted by his back issues in the beginning of the season. He kind of stepped up his game, but he's averaging only 8 points per game on some very average 33% field goal shooting or something like that. But the most important thing and the biggest thing of Jordan Lloyd's impact was actually off the court, because he's kind of labeled as this glue guy in this backcourt between Mike James, Okobo, and Jordan Lloyd. His experience, he knows how to click guys together, and his maturity off the floor helped a lot to build this chemistry. And compared to the last season, it's like a day and night, because Mike James and Wilbekin, they were kind of two opponents in the same team. And now it's a whole different conversation. They're sharing great chemistry. They're happy playing together. Everybody's accepting their roles. So we can actually see it's on the court how much they enjoyed being together.
I have like two more takes from this game. Well, one take and one question for you guys, actually. My one take is that I just appreciate the effort Shaq McKissick always gives on the court. He is a crazy player. He's a warrior. Obviously, it helps when he hits some shots, because other teams will never respect his jump shot.
Open threes.
Monaco, the way they did in the playoffs,
respect.
they did the same thing. Here is like, I could say, a bit cynical. You don't even consider contesting him, even though he hit 1-2 shots before. You
That's
don't
like
go
Yusuf
for...
Nurkic and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good comparison. Anyway, yeah, he made 3 from 5, but we know that in the long run, he's not a good shooter. But I love his effort. I love his passion for the game. And the question for you guys, like, I know it's only 5 games, but is it fair to say so far that Isaiah Canaan is just not the right fit for Olympiacos?
I don't know. I'm trying to understand if he's going to get into the groove, or... I mean... in this game, they use him for a couple of times, as an off-ball, player, and he was just coming off the screens, had some shots. But whenever he is attacking in the pick and roll situations for Olympiacos, I don't see him being aggressive. And I don't know if that's on him or if that's on the system, where he just doesn't have the space, that he had in the previous seasons. So I wouldn't say that after 5 games, he's a bad fit. But I don't know. I don't see, obviously, if he makes some more shots in the same situations, we wouldn't be probably saying this, but I don't see him being, that valuable and bringing the same value that he was bringing to his previous teams. And just, I cannot understand really if that's on the system or if that's on him. So
okay.
The best part is that Olympiacos, they are patient, especially Yorgos Bartzokos. I mean, I kind of raised this question about Isaiah Canaan even after the preseason, because he was kind of struggling. He was not finding his rhythm, but we all hoped that he will, find it back after just one good game. Maybe that's what he was missing. Just one good game, making some good shots. So far, he's not making those shots. So far, he didn't have that big statement game early in the season. But the biggest thing is that Coach Bartzokos trusts him. He's patient. And I mean, they're in a good situation to be patient with him. They're winning even without him. They're going to be one of the top 4, top 5 teams in the regular season. So I think that they won't force the situation. There's a huge belief. What's also important that Isaiah Canaan is a very smart guy, very matured guy. Although he might look like this hot-headed player on the court sometimes, off the court he's a true pro. So I think that there might be some good connection between both sides, waiting for him to finally show what he actually can do. Because it's not like, it's just like sometimes it really feels that he's just missing his shots. I mean, as you mentioned, with some spacing situations with pick and roll, maybe it's different when it was in Kazan, but I mean, this is not a huge difference. This is not something which is stopping Isaiah Canaan from being himself.
But it says something that against Monaco, there were some situations where Monaco just were simply attacking him on defense, putting him on every pick and roll because he was not doing a great job, and then he's not offensively, he is not bringing those points back. And it says something that he's starting the games and starting the third quarter, but he's almost never, in the lineup that's closing the game.
And I don't think he will be in the future.
So Larentzakis' confidence compared to Canaan's confidence, at least, we don't know the inside of the player's head, but how these two players look when they are on the court, at least offensively, Larentzakis' confidence seems to me like, I don't know, going through the roof. And Canaan, I wouldn't say he's playing with the same confidence that he was playing last season.
But he's the player who didn't kind of had this lack of confidence, neither in the NBA or Kazan.
But he was used to be their closing games. Like even last year, he was playing next to Lorenzo Brown and Mario Hezonja, but he was in the lineup that's closing games. Right now, you have Slukas running the show.
When Slukas is on the court, everything goes through him.
Yeah, everything goes through him, exactly. He plays every pick and roll. Then you need Larentzakis on the court for the fourth quarters. Or you have Thomas Walkup. And I just don't see a situation, unless somebody gets hurt and misses some games, that Canaan will be in that closing lineup.
We'll see how it changes when Larentzakis stops doing these incredible things, which he actually kind of did, against Monaco. He scored only 3 points in the fourth quarter. Of course, he can offer a lot defensively. He tried to get under Mike James' skin, but that
was interesting as well.
Maybe Canaan's role offensively in the closing games was also connected to the fact that Larentzakis was just top player in the fourth quarter. So let's be patient to see how it develops when Larentzakis stops being Larry the Legend. But there was this highlight.
You're gonna do this every week, right?
Every podcast.
I was said there's no way I will say it in this pod, but
somehow
there is this, attraction.
The streak continues.
Anyway,
let's 50 podcasts in a row.
Let's not overlook what the biggest highlight of the game. Larentzakis and Mike James trash talking each other, and this amazing moment. I don't know if you heard, but with 5 minutes left to play, when Larentzakis hit his only 3-pointer in the fourth quarter, and Shaq McKissick got the technical. I don't know why, because we didn't see it on TV, because there were some other situations on the screen. Larentzakis was following all the way Mike James when he was inbounding the ball, and I think that somehow they had mics close to both players, and Mike James said something like, "I told you I'm killing you, like always. And the referee tried to calm him down, and he was like, "This dude is trying to trash talk me, although I'm killing him." And Mike already had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. So, it was very interesting matchup to watch from the beginning, because Larentzakis, he was literally under his skin. And there were some moments, I think that when Mike James got this offensive foul, when Larentzakis drew a charge, he said to him, and Mike obviously was unhappy. And then in the next possession, Larentzakis tried to prove something, and he kind of made this very early 3-pointer and got his ass kicked by Bartzokas in the timeout. So it was just a very, very intriguing pair to watch throughout the whole game.
That shot attempt by Larentzakis was the best Mike James impersonation he was trying to do, I think,
Exactly.
He was like...
Which he shouldn't do, let's be fair.
But he hit similar shot against Real Madrid from the corner in the fourth.
He did.
You remember?
The shot clock was running out.
True. It wasn't. There wasn't 16 seconds left in the
Yep,
shot.
exactly.
No, but it's just this trash talk situation reminded me of this meme when you say, Mom, we need Mike James in Piraeus, and Larentzakis comes in and he's like, we have Mike James at home, and he's.
Monaco and Olympiacos all of a sudden is becoming a very good sporting rivalry in the EuroLeague, in the context of EuroLeague, let's say, and I love it. Actually, it's pretty normal that Oli got their first loss against Monaco when you have a night where Mike James and Elio Kobo, with their great talent, are scoring and hitting some tough shots. And when you have a night where Olympiacos are missing a lot of spot-up shots, it's pretty normal that Monaco gets the W because they're such a talented team. And it looks like this season Monaco is very well prepared for those big games because they beat Efes in an overtime thriller. Now they beat Olympiacos. The only loss they got is when for some reason, they had a meltdown in Tel Aviv, but they could have easily been an unbeaten team alongside Fenerbahce right now, if not for that brain fart that happened in Tel Aviv against Maccabi. But Monaco is a team to watch, definitely.
And the scary part is that they're not playing that great kind of basketball so far.
Some of the players can be much better than they are.
A lot of players can be probably much better
than they are. I think John
Brown
Brown is finally finding his place.
Yeah.
But I think, for example, Blossom Game has a lot more to offer than he does so far.
For sure.
But probably it's also connected to the fact that these three guards had to kind of click together to find their roles, to find their shots, to find their situations, to find their chemistry on this backcourt. And then I hope that it will follow with the, let's see, role players, with the assets, not only Blossom Game, but also, of course, John Lloyd, but there's Donatas Motiejūnas who can be even more efficient in post-up situations in some short stretches. Moorman shooting threes. I mean, there is potential, and even numbers show that nor offensively or defensively, they are great in both categories. They are 7th in the EuroLeague. They are 16th by three-point shooting percentage, so they're 16th in assists percentage. So there's still a lot to improve, and that's the scary part because they're already beating some good teams.
One other thing that I love about them is the way Zeljko Obradovic gives credit to individuals. Many coaches don't do that. Even when the reporters ask about one player or another, the coach always answers it's about the team. It's never about one individual. But
classical answer.
But Zeljko Obradovic loves to say, and then extra quality from Mike. I just love it because he gives a lot of credit to the players, and I think it's a good thing to be honest. Sometimes to just say that we didn't play good basketball, but he saved our asses. Some days it might be Mike, some days it might be Ellie, some days it might be somebody else. But I love when a coach says that because I'm kind of sick of all those usual phrases. It's a team effort, blah blah blah. We all did it, even though you see on the box score that somebody scored like 30 points and difficult shots, fadeaway jump shots, and whatever. But I love it about Zeljko Obradovic.
I love that locker room speech as well. Guys, it's only one win, only one. Why are you so happy? Why are you so happy? And
it looks to me like Zeljko loves coaching American players. Not every European coach likes to have many Americans on his team. Serbians sometimes, especially when you're coaching like Zvezda, you prefer to have as many local players as possible. And Zeljko Obradovic to me seems like a coach who puts a lot of trust on American players.
I don't know about that, but I just want to give a credit for him because how he changed as the head coach. Before Monaco, everybody knew, not just we journalists, what we watched on the screen, but also people inside the EuroLeague. They all knew him as a very strict coach, old school coach, yelling, shouting, teaching through punishments. Let's see. He changed a lot in Monaco. A lot of people were like, okay, is it real Zeljko Obradovic? Or when he's just coming out, putting his mask off in some time. No, he didn't change. He changed himself, and it tells a lot about the head coach, how important it is to make some changes. Because for example, I don't like these head coaches. For example, Svetislav Pesic said that after the Eurobasket that, I'm coaching for like 100 years. I know how to win. I know my way, and I'm not going to change it. No, the basketball is changing, and it's changing in both sides of the ocean, and it changes dramatically. And what's the biggest aspect is changing is the way how they handle the personalities, and it's becoming more and more players league, not coaches league as it was before. And coaches, they're becoming like managers with this schedule, with playing so many games, so we have to manage all the characters, personalities, to downplay some losses down the stretch. So Sasha Obradovic made a huge adjustment. And
you mentioned being a manager and the psychologist of the team. There was once again a really interesting timeout from Monaco. I think last week we were talking about Mike James.
When he wanted to post Paris League.
When he wanted to post up. And this week I saw Mike was talking again with someone on the bench during the timeout. And then Sasha was like, guys, I talk now. I talk. It's my time. And Mike was still telling, no, guys, I talk. Look. And then he was talking,
Yeah.
Managing personalities.
What you said, Donatas, is true. I would say that EuroLeague is still a coaches league.
Yeah.
But the thing is that these days... sometimes it's more about building the team and not only coaching the team, because
we have back-to-back champions is the best example.
Because head coach in today's EuroLeague is the one that selects the players, not only coaches the players. And in the old days, you can have a lot of examples when coach is there to coach and the board of directors are there to sign
it still depends,
players. I mean, not in every organization, not in every club, but we know that coaches like Messina or Jasikevičius, they definitely choose the players. It's not like somebody says, hey, Šaras, we signed Laprovitola.
Did you imagine that?
No, he has his word in it, and his word is the final word, I think. I don't know about Sasha. Was he responsible for like hiring John Brown or some other players? But
there was actually,
since he extended the contract and knew he was staying,
there was this rumor that Sasha Obradovic and Mike James were behind building this roster. But when I hear the stuff about Elio Kobo joining the team and how Mike reacted to it, I just don't think that it's true.
It's hard to trust the rumors, but we can trust what we see on the court, and we have to appreciate Monaco because they did a good job.
And they were always
selecting the players.
Let's say, thinking out of the box and making risky decisions. Like last year, kind of building one team and then on top of that, adding some game changers. And it might get wrong with some players who started the season and who were told about some clear roles. And then you're getting Mike James and especially Dwayne Bacon. And now, this Jordan Lloyd, Okobo, and Mike James lineup, we were like, what's this all about? This is some very unusual move, and so far it works, and it still has a lot of potential. So, but they're playing this ball game differently.
There's a certain head coach who said he would prefer to play with 5 guards if it's possible. So I don't think it's such a big problem to have 3 guards on the court.
Yeah. Talking about coaches. One of our colleagues who likes to spice things up, Agnius Sakavičius. We have to be clear about this. He raised this question before the pod. If Zeljko Obradovic is still a top 3 head coach in the EuroLeague?
I don't know how to rate coaches, like make a top 3. You can say like top 3 of my favorite coaches, but they're different. They have a different approach, different style. For example, how do you compare someone who's coaching Žalgiris or Alba to someone who's coaching Real Madrid, Efes?
There is no clear basis on,
Yeah. You cannot judge them only by the results.
And how can you compare, like, Zeljko, for example, who's just coming out of EuroCup, who didn't coach in the EuroLeague since COVID year? I mean,
but what does it change? I mean, he is still. How many times he have won EuroLeague?
And he won it in different eras.
He won in different eras, different teams. Are we valuing him lower because he lost one game in a single elimination EuroCup playoffs? not, that wouldn't be logical, I would say. And now, after 5 games, like if we are ranking the top 3 coaches in the EuroLeague, if we are trying to rank, these 5 games play 1-2% into probably the ranking. So
look, Trinchieri is 0-5 right now, bottom in the standings. Does it say that Trinchieri is not as good as a coach as he was a year or 2 years ago? I mean, Zeljko Obradovic is in a very different situation right now than when he was in Fenerbahce or Panathinaikos. He used to be the head coach of a team that's one of the top 3 favorites to win the EuroLeague. Every season, the expectation was Final 4. Now he has a team with some veterans and some young players with a very short rotation and some newcomers, some players that don't have any experience in the EuroLeague, some players that have some little experience, and of course, they're depending on guys like Kevin Punter or Zach Lidey.
He's dependent on Matthias Lesor playing 37
minutes. They don't have a backup center right now. Matthias Lesor has to play almost 40 minutes per game. And actually, I would say they're improving game by game. If you take the first game when they were trashed by Alba.
First game was awful against Alba. Yeah. It was unwatchable.
And really. look, right now, they lost to Milan at home by a very fine margin. They should have won against Baskonia. Somehow they let it slip. And they beat Žalgiris, a very solid win in the last game. And they got their first win at home. Who was the opponent? I forgot.
Was it Bologna Virtus?
Yeah, Bologna Virtus. And that was a great performance.
Yeah, blowout win.
So what does it say about Zeljko Obradovic? Can you judge him only by results? The team that he's coaching right now is different from Fenerbahce.
Even Fenerbahce in his last years, it was a different situation because he was facing one of the best teams in EuroLeague we already had. Efes. He also had difficulties in Fenerbahce because the club had financial problems. There were some late payments that lasted for months. And I remember from what I heard, there was a situation where, they were on this losing streak and, maybe he was kind of shouting at somebody during the practice or he kind of addressed something. And, some player just didn't respond the way Zeljko wanted and Zeljko finished the practice. But the main idea was that player said that, Coach, we're not paid like for a few months and, you want some responsibility or you're just pushing us to the edge like this. I mean, it's not fair. And he just had to, throw everything out and just to leave the practice. I mean, he was even in a comfortable situation with Fenerbahce already when Efes era emerged. So it's really tough in this European basketball system. It's really tough to make all those rankings because the teams there are so in such a different situation. So
I don't think that a great coach with a great basketball mind all of a sudden gets bad because he didn't coach for a year. It's not like he was out of the game or anything. It's the same Zeljko Obradovic in a different context.
I mean, you might be... I think that I wouldn't agree with it completely. You're kind of losing instincts. You still have to practice your instincts, your intuition, game time situations, game time decisions. I mean, it has to be practiced. But it doesn't mean that Zeljko Obradovic lost everything in 1 year.
Two questions to follow up the discussion, whether he's top 3 or not. Does he have the respect of the players?
It's not questionable.
The biggest respect of all players, probably, in Europe.
Does Partizan play to their strengths from what they have on the roster?
Yeah. I mean...
So if he has to play Lesor for 38 minutes, he has to do that. He doesn't have a choice. And it's not like you see Partizan being a team that's out of control. I think, again, Žalgiris, we saw, he managed the game pretty well. He managed Kevin Punter with his foul trouble. He survived the difficult stretch of 7 minutes without Punter when he was sitting on the bench. Trusted the young players for a while, but he was very quick to react. Like, he gives an opportunity to Tristan Vukcevic. He makes a very bad play on defense, and immediately Zach Lidey is back. because in EuroLeague every possession counts. So he still has the feeling and everything and the respect, first of all, on top of that. I trust players and other coaches, and all of them are saying that Obradovic is a legend. It's a pleasure to play for him. He's still the best.
Still the best, yeah.
I mean, come on. It's a silly discussion, in my opinion, and it's a very silly statement if somebody is stating that Zeljko Obradovic is past his best.
I mean, his game management is top level, as you said, and just following Partizan, you can see all the, new stuff, or let's say trendy stuff that's in basketball. I can give you 2 examples. This post-up play when you are posting up and then you are giving a handoff and you're playing off of that with the big guy.
Yeah.
Partizan has a lot of that. We saw that against Virtus. Or this, I saw one set play that they're using quite a lot this season where you're playing a pick and roll to the side and there is Kevin Punter standing on the free throw line and receiving a flare screen to the other corner. This is kind of, I have not really seen this set play in other teams. And usually it's a copy-paste league, everywhere in the NBA, in Europe. If you see a good set and it's working, all the other teams are going to try to implement that. This is something that's, you haven't really seen in Europe. So that's you could say this is what Zeljko, thought of in his head. And he has been doing this for, I don't know, the last 20 years, like Spain pick and roll, you can see way back in the day. A lot of plays that were popular in the last 10 years, Zeljko Obradovic's team were playing way back before. And if you post a play, for example, on Twitter, there is always someone saying, hey, Zeljko Obradovic team on 2002 was already playing that, So he still keeps doing that in 2022.
No, he's super active. He's still even stepping on the court, although he's like, how old? Like 61, 62 or something. He joins players in the practices. He runs at the game speed, actually running out of screens and helping these players out. You probably all saw this alley-oop pass to Kevin Punter. I mean, his energy is something astonishing, which even surprises the other members of Partizan Club. So
yeah, NBA has Greg Popovich. We have Zeljko.
We respect the GOAT.
NBA has hostile fans from now on with this attack against Luka Doncic. What was your reaction watching the way Americans reacted to that situation where in the extra time in Brooklyn somebody threw the cup of ice towards Luka Doncic?
I just don't understand the first thing. I just don't understand why you need to throw things on the court to start with this. I know Donatas is getting all riled up right now because he likes this topic to talk about this. I remember you talking about the derby of Belgrade, I think. But it's just, to me, either you are completely drunk or you are, I don't know,
delusional,
such an unhappy person in your life that you have to throw a cup of ice to a player.
At least throw a cup of beer. Luka would love to refresh.
Don't waste beer.
Don't waste beer. This stuff is happening in Lithuania.
If you watch a lot of football, and the football players are always used to when you score a goal and you go to celebrate next to the
you can see the flying
fans,
objects.
you always have beer thrown at you. And for example, in Germany, it's very
but
common. In Netherlands,
it doesn't make that normal.
It's not normal, and especially on the basketball court where you're playing inside, like. Football is played outside and you can get wet or get dirty or whatever. In this case, you spill something on the court. First of all, you stop the game because the floor needs to be wiped. And Luka Doncic is going to laugh. You're not going to affect...
Like always. He just
You're
smiles.
not going to affect Luka
every time
by throwing stuff at him. Maybe you might even raise his game to another level because he might actually... take some pleasure from this whole situation and start dominating the game, which he did, by the way, and they beat Brooklyn in an overtime game. So I don't know. This fan will obviously be banned. NBA, the league,
he was arrested.
Yeah,
well, the league, the clubs, and the states have very strict policy about stuff like that. So that was just a stupid thing to do. And of course, it's not the first time we see some NBA fans acting out. Like I remember some fan in Salt Lake City had a beef with Russell Westbrook, for example. We saw like a Phoenix Suns fan throwing punches at a Denver Nuggets fan, shouting Suns in 4, I believe, something like that.
And then the next game, the whole arena is like showing this.
Things get out of hand sometimes. Like you're allowed to drink alcohol, to consume alcohol during a basketball game, and the NBA game is very long. And I think it's a myth that every single person in the arena, when we're talking about NBA, knows how to behave in public. Cameras only show us those who are like sober and acting. When they're on a dance cam, they're gonna dance. There's always gonna be someone talking dirty, shouting stuff, especially in places like Boston, Philadelphia. But of course, throwing cups is something that needs to be punished.
Jordan Lloyd he retweeted our, not our, but Bleacher's video when Sven threw a cup at Luka. He tweeted that nothing new over here, and a lot of people made fun because in Europe we got used to some way more wild things than just one cup of ice. And I know that a lot of people made fun, but at the same time, I mean, I liked how serious NBA people were about it, because this is the situation where you cannot tolerate it. I mean, we cannot be proud of that, oh, we're throwing not cups of ice, but some bigger things, and it's way more hostile, and this is real European basketball was here. No, it shouldn't be that way. Nobody should throw things on the court, and I like that that guy will be arrested. As you mentioned, he probably will get banned.
No, but imagine he hits really with that ice someone in the head.
We saw players in Europe being hit by lighters or coins, and some of them getting hurt actually by some objects, flying objects from the stands. And another problem in Europe, that there are certain places where you're playing in a gym where people are smoking inside, and they're not only smoking cigarettes. So that's not happening in the NBA, at least. They have a non-smoking policy, I think. It should be hard for a professional athlete to perform smelling marijuana or cigarettes, tobacco. So, yeah.
But I agree with Donatas that the way NBA reacted, it should be an example also to people in Europe.
Yeah, show example to some other potential situations like that. That everybody knows that if you will try to do something like that, you will have to forget watching basketball in gym. But in some countries, we still have these kind of things, every year repeating in the final series or in big derby games. So it's not cool. It's not cool. But the best thing, what I liked about that situation, that when Jason Kidd was quoted. When he was asked about this situation, basically in almost every article it was repeated something like, Jason Kidd, who is no stranger to spilled drinks at the Barclays Center. If you remember that story,
when
9 years ago,
he
needed a timeout, and he instructed his player to hit him, and he just threw away the cup of not ice, but something else. So he
500 IQ play,
Gatorade maybe. So it was 3D chess, right?
That was funny.
And Luka's response was like, he laughed and just said, "I'm used to worse things. It's no big deal. I don't care about the cup of ice."
Luka always being clear and short with his answers.
But Luka, he likes to communicate with those fans in the front row seats, like in those VIP seats. When he makes
best friends.
When he makes a step back free, he's always gonna say something, running back to defense. He's a showman. That's what he does.
he says more to the VIP seats than to interviewers after the game.
I think he just enjoys hitting daggers in front of some celebrities. Like when you're playing in Brooklyn, sometimes you will have Jay-Z sitting there, and what a pleasure it should be to hit a buzzer beater or a game winner in front of one of the greatest rappers of all time. Right? So that's who Luka is. That's why we love him.
Yeah, so that's all, guys. But before we end, I have to promote BasketNews shop, because I will get killed by Julius. as you see, Rytis is still with his URBONUS sweater because it's
I
cool. It's
I
cool.
didn't get
It
the
feels
memo.
good, and it's hot. That's why you're here with this shirt, because it's very warm sweater, and you can find it on BasketNews shop, which is basketnews.lt/n. No, shop.basketnews.lt/n, or just shop.basketnews.lt.
Can you just
and you'll
put the
find
link below?
English language. It will be easier. It will be easier. Yeah, so you will find the link in
I
the
didn't
description.
understand a single thing. Like, I don't know. What did you say? Like /bn/dot what?
You will find everything in the description, and you will be able to call.
How Isaiah Thomas said about Victor Wembanyama, we have this Victor, where your mama at? Joining the league next season.
That was good. That was good one. Yeah, so thank you all guys for this pleasure to share basketball conversations, and see you in the following weeks, probably.
Yep.